beautiful friends. It's such an honor to be here with you, to be, opening up as a collective to this divine power. Every day there's some new realization, and actually it's just so exciting because when we get together, we also get a bigger response. So, of course, individually we can do so much, but when we show our understanding of what life really is, when we show our willingness to be a coherent, cohesive collective that likes each other, which is not so typical on this planet, then our divine source responds better. And I'm going to share a few kind of news stories. Maybe some of them, we just got back from Mount Shasta, so we are back in Santa Rosa. So I did all my rituals outside where I have my little temple where I connect with Divine Mother, and I ask, what is today all about? And this is what I always try to translate it. So never mind if my words sometimes don't sound exactly how it is for you maybe, but I try my best. So I was told by Divine Mother that today, as we have the full moon, and really it's the ceremony, the yogis always celebrated the full moon with pujas, with fire ceremonies, and we will do some of that here too, actually online. And so Yogananda always mentioned, the full moon. When it is full moon, this is the really celebration of the guru. And it's so interesting, Yogananda's birthday was yesterday. We were celebrating that. And then Sri Kaleshwar, I highly recommend also working with all the teachings of Sri Kaleshwar as they are being transmitted in this world. And I will show you Sri Kaleshwar. He had a very, very unbelievable life, and he was sent here to this world by Divine Mother. He performed incredible miracles. He was really the guru of the gurus. I think he passed very early on when he was maybe 50, I remember. And I was initiated by this great guru, not actually in the physical. I even didn't know who he was. But one night, this beautiful smiling face appeared in our bedroom, and he was hovering above the bed, as they like to do. And then he started to send so much divine light, so much light. And this is what they do to us. They come and they give us a transmission really from the ethers. So it's really, when we are ready, they come and they give us this amazing transmission. And so I was so blown away. Who is this incredible divine being emanating so much light? And then, I searched and found Sri Kaleshwar. He was an amazing, he represented Divine Mother so beautifully. So definitely look into it. There is a great teacher who was his disciple. She's a dear friend, Alks, and she has Baba's Kitchen in LA. And she was one of his first closest disciples. She's also very young, and she teaches everything she learned from him. And so I met her after I received my initiation. I was searching, who is this? What is happening? What does it all mean? And so I was so blown away. But anyway, our next lunar cycle will be about all this. We will be taking everything into the next level, and it's just so much coming in today. And so tomorrow is actually on the 8th, I believe, is Sri Kaleshwar's birthday. Also very interesting. Yes. Alex teaches the Guru Purnima workshops, and she does, all the wonderful things online as well. So definitely. And I'll talk about her next time when we have our next lunar cycle. And so we have had beautiful, beautiful avatars in this world who pointed, always towards that one thing, and that is our connection with Divine Mother, and then our connection with Divine Source. And so the path that we are here together walking online around the world is always the same path. Every day guided. And to me, it's really, really important to every day show up in the highest state of integrity and bliss, completely aligned with the energies that are unfolding for humanity and where we are guided to go. So, it's wonderful when we every day love our practices. So once again, whatever it is that you love, keep doing it. Love is actually so much more important than the discipline itself. So find practices that you love, and don't beat yourself up if some of the practices, everybody's doing it, everybody's loving it, and you don't. That's also okay, because we all have very different DNA, and we have DNA from all sorts of places. And our DNA is not only from this physical reincarnation where we got DNA of our ancestors, but we can also have DNA that is very cosmic, and we all have it. So we find that, cosmos is so huge, and I don't know even if there are multiple cosmoses, but I really have only explored universes. So I can guarantee you that there are universes, as I have been able to actually depart from a universe and look at the structure of it from the outside. And so within all this multiverse, maybe that's the best way to describe it, we have so many different beings with so many different forms. And, I like to tell these stories, even though they might sound like science fiction, but hopefully it comes across as something very grounded, but also as just simply, like, let's open up to the possibility that we have been around for maybe billions of years and maybe trillions of years. And that within this creation, we simply never end. Not until Source is done with creation, if ever. But I have learned from Source that as long as beings are creative, Source will also keep on creating. And so I learned that creation will keep on going as long as beings are creative. And this is amazing. Let me see. Oh, Carmen, you teach the holy womb chakra. Oh my gosh, that's so exciting. I have a pendant that was activated for me with the holy womb chakra, and I'm so excited. So January 9th, beautiful. Oh my goodness. That's such a blessing. Maybe you can teach us. And so I have not seen my emails for at least 2 months. I so much apologize, but I will get to them. It just has been very busy. And so it's okay. Let's go back to this. So within this huge creation that we all have been part of for so long, and it even is not about time, because actually the time that we know here as time doesn't really exist in higher dimensions, because everything becomes kind of like into one eternal moment. And so the way that we really should be measuring time in our world, our universe, is only by observing the movement of celestial bodies. But we don't do that, not yet. We used to do that, but we are going to return to doing that as well, because that's the only really reasonable way to measure really the movement of things, the movement of what we call time. And so think of yourself as someone who has been around for, let's just say, trillions of human years. That's a very long time to be around. And you take on many different forms. You are doing what creation really wants us to do, and that is to explore and experience. Explore and experience. Now, I love working with the 22 archetypes that we have, for example, in the tarot cards, because they tell us a story. They tell us a story, really a story of initiation. So many candles, that's right. Yeah, a few trillions of years old. And so our path of initiation starts with the Fool. That's the zero, the magical zero. Zero as a circle, zero as coming from Source, but having no experience. And as we have no experience, we are foolish in a way. We are beautifully created, all equal. We are all just beautiful beings of light, but with no experience, we cannot experience who we are. There is no experience of the I am. So what is it that I am if I have no experience? And so we go into this beautiful creation, cosmic creation, as the Fool, but we start moving through the different steps. We turn into the magician. We have all the tools in our hand as the magician does. But are we going to become a black magician? Are we going to be a white magician? Are we going to be a transcendental magician? Those are our options. And then we go through the 22 archetypes. We learn about who we are. Sometimes we get these tests. And as you know, the test of fearlessness is the test of Divine Mother. Do you realize, she says, who you are, that you are timeless, that you cannot be harmed by anything, that all is really one big cosmic dream. And so if we are in a cosmic dream and we are eternal, how can we be harmed? That is the big test of Divine Mother. Fearlessness, that actually opens a portal. And I am sensing that humanity is stepping into fearlessness, realizing that really nothing can harm us and that we are the ones creating realities. And if it is so, then we absolutely have power within us. And so then the fool keeps going. You know, there are pretty places, not so pretty places. There is the moon initiation. Oh my gosh, can you hold on to your light? Then there is the sun, realizing the sun is the source and we can get close, but maybe really not yet merge one with source. And then we go higher and we meet Divine Mother, we meet Divine Father. And then the devil comes, for example, right? Scary stuff. But we keep going fearlessly. And when we get to the end of this journey, what happens when we come to 22? We turn back into 0. Now we are at full once again. But that fool now is not foolish. That fool now is the fearless one, the one who has seen it all, the one who's been through all of it, the one who passed every single test. And now the fool is just singing and smiling, walking on water completely fearlessly. And why is that? It's because the fool now realizes what creation really is, and that the journey is the journey that actually never ends. Yeah, there is also the hanging man upside down, all of it. So when we study, you know, the journey, this is just one of the schools that explains it so beautifully. And to me, this was, you know, I was like, I don't know, 18, and my guide said, you need to really blend with every archetype in this world, you know. So I bought the tarot cards that I recommend having. I prefer the ones, the Thoth tarot cards, because they have all the stories written into them. The symbolism is absolutely unbelievable. And it's about reading a symbol. When there is a little dot, that dot has a meaning. When there is, you know, rainbow coming out of someone's heart, that has a meaning, and so on and so on. And so my guides, they asked me to put these 22 archetypes on the ground and have them laid out, you know, on the carpet, and just blend with them as I walk past them, and blend with every single one of them for months upon months upon months, until you have that self-realization of what this life will be all about. So pretty incredible. Tough. Thank you for putting it. Thank you. And so I want to say, acknowledge who you are. You are not exactly this, but at the same time, you know, some people just say, I miss home. Well, where is home? Home is everywhere. And there are beautiful dimensions where we have beautiful connections with our families of the light. But here too is the family of this beautiful planet. And so Divine Mother said today, just what would be so nice? Well, it would be so nice if humans came to the planetary collective understanding that they are all one here, and actually one in cosmos. And then the simplicity of Divine Mother's words, just be nice to each other. Just be nice. And it starts with us in the spiritual communities. You know, as I always am blown away, how much nastiness can be thrown around between spiritual people. And they believe they are right and wrong, and telling each other, you know, things that maybe are not so nice. And maybe you see it too in some, you know, communities. But I so much appreciate that this community is so nice to each other, because whenever you're nice to each other, that's really the foundation. When they start fighting with each other, it leads to big conflicts, not only within our self, but also within the world. And then, you know, we have things like the war, and this leads somewhere. So I remember only what I remember. There's surely so much more from these trillions of years that I don't remember, I wish. But every day we make little progress in remembering. And so I remember being, and actually it's not just that I remember it, it's still happening, because when you have your multidimensional self and you activate yourself through especially the breathing and the meditation, you start perceiving yourself constantly also in other realities. And at the same time, you hear too. It doesn't get confusing at all. It's just so wonderful that it's even possible. And so, you know, I say you might start seeing yourself working in beautiful temples of healing in higher dimensions. I was so blown away when Yogananda started taking me into these healing temples of the angelic queendom, that actually we did the 4 steps. And so when you go into the angelic queendom and you start working with angelic healers who really are there in those temples, you actually might recognize some people that you know from your life, or that, you know, maybe you went to a yoga studio and there was someone teaching a class, and then you go to this beautiful realm of the angels and you will recognize the same person actually delivering this incredible service of angelic world, and light, doing all the healing in these higher realms. So to me, this is so amazing that you actually are absolutely multidimensional. And the thing is always, we are realizing it by self-exploration. Self-exploration to me is really the key. I always say, if somebody tells me, oh, you had a past life in Egypt and you were a princess and a pharaoh, if it's not my memory, it's not useful. And you can tell me anything you want, but it has to, ring a bell or be useful. And so here's a little bit of what I remember. So I remember coming into the world a few times, several times actually, and quite a bit during Mu. And then once, not as a human, during Atlantis, just for the end of it, when we were supposed to kind of rescue the world, but we failed. And then I started coming in, and I think it's more karmic after that, that you have to come here. We had to come here quite a bit after the end of Atlantis to work through all the energy that got actually here kind of miscreated. And so I remember all of those lifetimes. But at the beginning, when Atlantis fell, we had Egypt then. So we had the land of Chem, and that was really the residue of Atlantis in the physical. And so at the beginning, we still had some knowledge, we still had some practices, but of course, the longer we were removed from the fall of Atlantis, the more we also fell into our unconsciousness. So that's the result of our civilization today that seems to be very unconscious. And so I remember also being trained, I would say billions of years ago, but it's hard to put these things into really years, but that's what it feels like. And I was being trained with several other beings in cosmos, and we were called, and we still are actually called, the cosmic oracles. And I was so blown away when I started to remember all of this, and when I was visited by these cosmic oracles, and I described them before. And really, you as your multidimensional self might look similar in higher realms, but you also might look completely different depending on which realm you are working in. So I also met beings in a realm that seemed to know me. I really don't remember them, but I was able to visit with them, and they had 4 eyes. And that's something interesting. And the 4 eyes were that they had, like we have 2 eyes, so they would have another set of eyes right above. So they really had 4 eyes. And to me, this is so amazing, So I just want to say, we all might look very different when we go to these other places. And so as cosmic oracles, we kind of even have crystals in what you would call our head. And we have several crystals that are placed actually into really our head. And many beings in higher dimensions actually have crystals inside you would say, light body, because it's not so dense like here, so no pain involved in putting crystals in your body. And so then the crystals are used to actually magnify the frequencies that are coming in and to stay attuned. So the crystal technology is very real in these higher realms as well. And so our goal as these cosmic oracles, we were trained by actually in temples that are not on the physical plane, but humans recognize them as something physical. So we speak about a being called Horus and the Eye of Horus. And we speak about beings like Hathor as if she really lived in Egypt and she was an Egyptian. But that is not the case. These are actually very high cosmic beings who do not come from the earth at all. And in these cosmic creation kind of, energies, they are really the guardians of really many different things, but number one, evolution and divine energies. And so we were trained by the Eye of Horus, and the key was that we would be able to open this Eye of Horus in cosmos when we travel out of body into cosmos to be of service. So when I remembered all of this, I thought, well, why would this be useful? Opening the Eye of Horus in cosmos, what mission is that? What purpose is that? Like, why would you want to do that? Until I started to travel out of body, like immensely, and I started to travel to the Eye of Horus, and I call it the Eye of God. So just to say, because everybody's familiar with what that looks like. And so our goal would be to read the mind of God. To read the mind, that's a big mind, and to see what trends we have going on, because we of course have trends. People call it timelines. And so what are these trends and why are they useful? Well, of course, so that you can align yourself and all the worlds and harmonize the worlds, harmonize collectives with the mind of God. So it really actually is a presence of the divine embodied in that eye. And you can go as these cosmic oracles and open the eye and speak to the eye. And so when you are out of body, a lot of things can also be very spontaneous and out of, the human understanding. And so suddenly I was able to go to the eye of God. And I was able to open the eye of God and have a conversation. And when you are in your super conscious self, you might be surprised what you are capable of. I always say the things that we know that we don't know here in this world. But when we are in the super conscious state, we know so much more, so much more. It's as if you take all the layers, all the burdens, and suddenly all your superhuman skills, super skills really come back. You just remember all that you know. But then you come back into the body and maybe just a real fraction of what happened stays with you, or all of it. It really depends. And so this eye of God started to call me. And so I would travel at night out of body to this cosmic eye. And the cosmic eye wanted to see how this world is doing. And to me, this was so interesting. If you are a disciple of Yogananda was always complaining to God and saying, "Why did you send me into this world?" And God would always respond and say, "Yogananda, I send you into this world because this world is a mess." I'm kind of translating the words. I don't think that it was exactly like that, but I think it was more like, this world is a nightmare. And so I send you, Yogananda, because I, God, have no time for that world. And that struck me when, God would say that to Yogananda. And then told Yogananda, I'm too busy blissing out. I'm having so much fun creating universes. I'm so much having fun creating galaxies. It's really fun. So please take care of Mother Earth and, the inhabitants, and lead them to self-realization. So this was last year when I was pulled out to go and communicate with the Eye of God. And this was not the first time, but the Eye of God wanted to see, how is this world doing? This world. And so we, in Cosmos, everything's possible. In Cosmos, everything is possible. And so we lifted a veil. We came closer, kind of, you travel through Cosmos, the Eye of God is coming with you. And we lifted a veil as if the earth was behind a veil. And the Eye of God took a little peek and quickly covered it back up and said, "This world is not ready for me." And then the Eye of God said to me, "This world is still not free of conflict. And that way, it is not ready for me, because peace is the key to heaven. Peace and harmony is the altar of God." And so the Eye of God said, as long as conflict exists in this world, the world is not ready for me. And to me, this was the last time I spoke to the Eye of God. And so that was last year, I believe, 2022. And so this is one of the most important things why you and me came here into this world, to get out of the mud of conflict. Personally, that's why we call it self-development and personal growth. And then to come to that realization that we have to be nice to each other as well. And then help everyone around to also be just nice, harmonious, and coherent. And once again, just to quote the wonderful Yogananda, he taught the same thing. He said, the future of humanity one day is to actually become a planetary collective. No more borders, no more nationalities, just one planetary nation. And so this is where we are going. That's why I'm just telling this long story. And, we have been at it for a really long time, but we came here to lift this world into harmony. That's it, the butterfly effect of consciousness. And so we all are here on a big mission. This is not a small mission. If a world is not ready for divine harmony and bliss, well, the world is just in suffering, which is really sad because it hurts, even though we say suffering is not real. And even though we say pain is not real and fear is an illusion, well, if you are in a world where unconsciousness rules, then it seems all very real. And so we are here to uplift the world. And we uplift it every day with our being, with our energy. One thing I learned from Hathor when she used to come to visit almost every day, and she would always come and visit me in my meditation room, and she didn't come alone, always came with what I call an entourage. And Hathor explained to me that one person on this planet, if one person really gets it, they can actually expand their energy body so wide that they could actually have the entire world in their energy body and hold this very high divine frequency and vibration of harmony, of love, of joy. And so once again, it really does matter what you and me do in our little lives, because maybe they are not so little. And so it's good to have a big divine, ambition. Are you gonna hold the world in your hands? Because what if it is up to you, right? What if? Who knows who we truly are? Because we seem to be in a little human body, but let me tell you, that is far from who we are. We had to embody here, of course, to be part of the earth this way. And so, yes, that's it. And so many of you will recognize what I'm talking about, because it's about self-realization. We are here to offer whatever gifts we have and to assist everyone around us to come and really to their own self-realization of who they are, how powerful you are, and how you do matter so much, and that you can have these very big, high ambitions. Now, when I started to come to planet Earth after the end of Atlantis, it was very different from coming, to Mu. Mu was very fun. And after, it was not so fun. We had all these human conditions after. But it was really interesting because we still had our gifts at the beginning. And so, for example, we would still work as seers. We would work really as, oracles quite a bit. But of course, then humanity started to punish everyone who had any gifts, especially religions. And so it was not so fun then. So I think many of us also got really discouraged, and we kind of started hiding our gifts, divine gifts. So now it's time to be able to show your gifts, share them. Not so much show, but share your gifts. And it's not going to be so stressful like it used to be. It used to be very stressful. But one of the things before we go into meditation, just to make it really fun and end the story with that, is when we started to come here after the end of Atlantis, we still were bringing all these great gifts. And so, for example, the oracles would go and they would work still in the temples, and they would be offering, nothing like personal, clairvoyant stuff. Not at all. That was not important. It was about seeing the mind of God, seeing energy, seeing, the different possibilities for humanity. And we always had to work with a veil. No one could see our face. And the reason for that was because if you could see the face of the oracle, then you would attach a human projection onto the oracle, and the oracle would suddenly be a personality, maybe to those who listen. And then also the oracle then would not be able to be fully kind of detached from the person's self. And so all of us who did this work, we always were the ones unseen. And to me, this is very interesting, because when my guides started to tell me to, start doing these phone calls, they said how important it was to be just a voice. And, of course, that makes sense as well. Why not to have the person in front of you, but more the information that flows as we connect to our divine self. And so the divine oracle, I prefer it too, absolutely. Like for me, I have to be connected. I don't want to be looking at a screen, and I don't want to be looking at myself, which is not supposed to be there anyway, because we are connecting to the divine self. The divine self does not have a face. Matthias spoke about looking at a being. He was told not to look at it. Yeah, so these oracles, they were never allowed to actually connect to the divine mind of God. with their faces exposed. And it had a very important purpose that I still follow now. And that is that you can only transmit this really universal and cosmic knowledge if you are fully disconnected from the personality self, and you are fully connected to the divine self. And only then it can really work. Cool. And with that, my friends, let us go into this amazing initiation. And today's initiation is super special because it's a full moon. We are closing our lunar cycle until the next one. And we are doing, to me, the highest of the highest work that can be done here on planet Earth at the moment. And that is really transforming our lives with divine will, and to transmit the divine will, not only to your life, but also to all that is around us. And that's how things change here. So let us call it in. I'm going to stop recording. Again, as magicians, we understand how powerful this work is, how our lives are being transformed, how we are of service, you know, and we can always take it to the next level, because that's the beauty of it all. So when you do, for example, receiving this huge transmission from the great ones, you can then set yourself up every morning energetically to always have the Big Dipper above your head. And now and again, refresh it, maybe, you know, before going to bed, and then allow this to go through your body. Now, as magicians in this world, and I mentioned that yesterday, we do want to use physical objects and physical body to actually anchor divine energies. And so you can reach with your hand up each time you are receiving a transmission. Your movement will make it much more powerful. And that is the great secret of magicians. We use the physical to receive the non-physical and anchor it in here. And so using the hands, using the magic wand, having a crystal that you anchor this into, going outside, anchoring it into the earth. And so just to close, we will get a quick transmission of all the goodness that's happening in the world today on the full moon. And this is from the Divine Mother Center. They are doing a transmission now of the puja. So just for a few moments, connect with this beautiful, so this is again with Sri Kaleshwar, Divine Mother Center. And they are doing a live transmission of the puja. And so what you can do, you can throw anything you want into this divinely consecrated fire. And so let us play.
Akhiland Koti Brahmand Naika Rajari Raji Yogi Raj Parabrahma Sri Satiphananda Samarth Sadguru Sainath Maharaj Ki Jai. Akhiland Koti Brahmand Naika Rajari Raji Yogi Raj Parabrahma Sri Satiphananda Samarth Sadguru Jesus Maharaj Ki Jai. Akhiland Koti Brahmand Naika Rajari Raji Yogi Raj Parabrahma Sri Satiphananda Samarth Sadguru Sri Swami Kaleshwar Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Ma! Jai Ma!
I see it ended 3 hours ago, but I was watching it myself because it's wonderful. I'm going to put the link here if you want. So they do very often. So this is Sri Kaleshwar. They do a lot of transmissions every day to send positive energy into the world. And so, beloved Divine Mother, we love you so much. And really the moon, of course, is part of Divine Mother's body, just as the earth is. And so let us honor her today. Maybe we'll go outside. Maybe we will anchor all this divine will into the earth. That's what I'm going to do. And also, once again, you know, what takes this work to the next level is using the breath. And so this is the revelation on the last day of our lunar cycle. A magician uses divine mind, divine will, divine light, divine love, this body, and divine breath. And so it is. And so our next meditation will be the new moon. So in 2 weeks, we will start once again with the new moon. And as long as this ascension process is not complete, I do believe we'll be always aligning with Mother Nature, and that is new moon to full moon, new moon to full moon. And so my recommendation for the 2 weeks that we don't have any collective meditations is just to keep going and doing what you love, practicing what you love, and really dedicating yourself to what you love, and always knowing that that love is actually the portal, and it is the shortcut to divine source. It is a shortcut to divine mother. So thank you so much for being here during this lunar cycle with me, with us as a collective of love and niceness. So many blessings to all of you. Thank you.